First, welcome to my YouTube channel. Myself Ujjwal Boro. This is the part 3 lectures video on the research methodology. So in this video I am going to discuss about the different types of research. So these are the types of research. So in different resources and books there are discussed and categorized different types of research. Practically most of the researches are mixed in nature, so researches should be innovative while categorizing the different types of research. It is also important to understand that all other types of research are variations of one or more of some particular types of research based on either the purpose of research or the time required to accomplish research, on the environment in which research is done, or on the basis of some other similar factors. So these are the different types of research you can see in this slide. So first is the descriptive research, and the survey research, correlational studies and casual comparative study, ex post facto, historical research, exploratory research and analytical research are the subtypes of the descriptive research. And then we will discuss separately about historical research, survey research, basic research, applied research, experimental research. Under the experimental research, field setting research, or laboratory research or simulation research, clinical or diagnostic research comes under this category, under the experimental research. And then quantitative and qualitative research, and conceptual and empirical research. So we can classify the types of research according to basis of research objectives, basis of applications, basis of logic, basis of inquiry mode, basis of process, basis of idea or concept. So under the basis of objectives we can classify it into two types, that is the descriptive research and then experimental research. So under descriptive research, according to the number of data collections, we can divide it into two categories, that is the cross-sectional study and then longitudinal study. And then other main types of descriptive research are survey research, correlational study, causal comparative study. We will discuss separately about these types of research in the coming slide. And then other variations of descriptive research are ex post facto, historical research, exploratory research, analytical research. Okay, so according to basis of applications, fundamental or basic or pure research, and then applied research, and basis of logic, deductive approach, inductive approach, and basis of inquiry mode, structured, unstructured, and basis of process, quantitative and qualitative, and basis of idea or concept, conceptual and empirical. So let's discuss first about the descriptive research. So descriptive research is a self-explanatory, means we have to explain by ourselves through proper analysis and interpretation of a phenomena or situations that we have taken for the study, or research are taken for the study. Okay, so in descriptive research, describe nature of a situations or event and institutions. The main aim of descriptive research is to describe what exists with respect to variable or conditions in a situation, then answer the questions who, what, where, and how the event were existed, how the event was happened. Okay, so and then about describing phenomenon, observing and drawing conclusion from a situation as per the objective of the study, as per the research questions of the study. Okay, then include surveys and fact finding inquiries. So utilize research methods or survey methods of all kinds, including comparative and correlational methods. The best example of descriptive research is National Sample Survey or census. Okay, so under this descriptive research I have already discussed that survey research. So what is survey research, and then why this is subtypes of the descriptive research or the other variations of descriptive research I will discuss now. Okay, so survey research is often considered a type of descriptive research because it primarily to describe the characteristics of a populations by collecting data through questionnaires, okay, interview, etc. Okay, descriptive research focuses on identifying and describing characteristics, trends, and frequencies within a group or situations without manipulating variable. Surveys are particularly well suited for this purpose as they allow researchers to gather large amounts of data from a diverse sample and then enabling statistical analysis of patterns and averages. Okay, then next is the correlational study. So correlational research mainly investigate the relationship between two or more variables. Researcher observes how changes in one variables are associated with changes in another without manipulating the variable. Correlational studies are considered a type of descriptive research because they focus on describing relationship between variables without manipulating them or trying to establish cause and effect. Unlike experimental research, which actively manipulate variable, correlational studies observe and measures variable to identify patterns and relationships. And then causal comparative study or ex post facto research. Okay, causal comparative research or ex post facto research is a types of research or methodology used to investigate cause and effect relationship between variables after the event or action has already occurred. So researchers compare different groups that already differ on some characteristics to determine if that difference explains in another variable. So causal comparative studies are sometimes categorized as a type of descriptive research because they both involve observing and describing characteristics of a group or situations. Okay, and then exploratory research also comes under the descriptive research. So what is the meaning of exploratory research? Generally, and it is done at the beginning of research. It is undertaken to explore an area uh, where little is known or to investigate the possibilities of undertaking a particular research study and is similar to feasibility or pilot study. So in this research, small scale study is undertaken to decide whether it is worth carrying out a detailed investigation. So this research attempt clarify why and how there is a relationship between two or more phenomena. So the purpose of exploratory research is to gain background information, define terms, clarify the problems, develop hypotheses, establish research priorities and objectives, and develop questions to be answered. It makes use of secondary data, experience surveys, case studies, interview, projective techniques, and Delphi techniques, etc. So uh, exploratory research is sometimes considered a category of descriptive research because it involves gathering data to describe a phenomenon or populations, even if does not necessarily aim to establish relationships or test hypotheses. And then analytical research also comes under the descriptive research. So analytical research is a type of research that goes beyond simply describing a phenomenon or situation. It aims to understand, interpret, and explain complex phenomena by examining their components and relationship. It involves critical thinking, rigorous methodology, and a framework to draw meaningful conclusions and insights, often using statistical, mathematical, and computational techniques. Okay, analytical research, while distinct from purely descriptive research, we can consider a type of descriptive research in some context. Okay, particularly when it involves a deeper analysis of existing data to describe patterns and relationship. Okay, so again, depending on the number of times data are collected, descriptive research can be of two types. First is the cross-sectional study. So when data are collected for one time in a study, in a research, that is called cross-sectional study, which is the subtypes of descriptive research as per the number of collections of data. And then longitudinal study, when data are collected multiple times from the same individuals or same sample for the study. Okay, so these are the subtypes of descriptive research. And then historical research, we separately I'm going to discuss separately. So there are many definitions given by the some eminent thinker. Okay, according to Gay, historical research is the systematic collections and objectives of evaluations of data related to past occurrence in order to test hypotheses concerning causes, effects, or trends of those events which may help to explain present events and anticipate future events. Then, according to uh, Isaac and Michael, historical research involves reconstructing the past systematically and objectively by collecting, evaluating, verifying, and synthesizing evidence to establish facts and reach defensible conclusions, often in relation to particular hypotheses. Then, true historical research, according to Goldar, true historical research or historiography is that, and it is concerned with analyzing and interpreting the meanings of historical events. It is the process by which a researcher is able to reach a conclusion as to probable truth of an event in the past by studying objects available for observations in the present. And then, according to Morley, it is a scholarly attempt to discover what has happened in the past. And then, according to Johnson, historical research is the process of systematically examining past events to give an account of what has happened in the past. So, from the above definitions are certainly useful ones. So, Gay points out the role of hypothesis. Isaac and Michael emphasize the establishing of facts systematically and objectively. Then Goldar uses the term true historical research and refers to probable truth of event in the past. Morley gives a very simple definition, that is stressing on a scholarly attempt. You can see in this slide. So from the definitions we can conclude that true historical research is a process of reconstructing the past through systematically and objectively collecting, evaluating, verifying, and synthesizing evidence relating to the past events to establish facts and defensible conclusions, often in relation to particular hypotheses, to arrive at a scholarly account of what happened in the past. Okay, so also it is the scholarly attempt to study and reconstruction about the past events systematically and objectively through scientific method. So these are the definitions that are given by the some eminent thinker. So now, what is not historical research? Okay, so not consider if not distinguished from chronology. So it is important that phenomena or events which are taken under the study should be in chronological order. The event should be unordered or should not be distinguished from chronology. Okay, the event should be in a order systematic as per happened in the past. Then it is only descriptions of past events, only mere collections of facts that are not called historical research. So it emphasizes that only descriptions and mere collections of facts about past events is not considered historical research. So to become historical research, it must follow some procedure or criteria. Okay, so regarding this, Goldar and Johnson clearly articulate mention in their definition. So according to Goldar, to become a historical research, the meaning of historical events must analyze and interpret in proper way to draw conclusion as per the objectives and research questions of the study that have existed happen in the past from the past studying objects for observation in the present. Okay, again according to Johnson and thinker, same thing as said by Goldar. So Johnson highlight that historical research involves or is interpretations of following that I have already discussed it. Okay, so now what constitutes a historical research? Okay, so true historical research or historiography is concerned with analyzing that I have already discussed. It is a flowing dynamic account of past events which involves an interpretation of these events in an attempt to recapture the nuances, personalities and ideas that influence these events. So let's take examples, few examples regarding the field of library science. A researcher can apply historical method of research to vast range of topics related to library information science field, such as origins of public library movement in the princely state of Baroda, that is a historical research, and growth of college libraries in Punjab, India, that is also historical research, and development of public libraries in South India, then impact of technology on library service in UK during the last 50 years, then regarding use of equipment in public library in Australia from 1991 to the present, and personalities S.R. Ranganathan, father of Indian librarianship, that is also a type of historical research. Then theory, from descriptive theory to the dynamic theory of library classification. Then crisis, Indian librarianships on crossroads, root cause of the situations of crisis. Then history of Delhi University library. So these are the some types of historical research. Again, Hilwe in 1964 in his book classified historical research into 6 types, that is the biographical research. So this mainly include include works, way of living, life, personality, contributions to the society of some eminent persons. For example, that I have already said that S.R. Ranganathan, father of Indian librarianship, that is a type of historical research, and that is the biographical research. And then histories of institutions and organization, history of Delhi University Library, that is a type of histories of institutions and organization. And then the investigations of sources and influences. So how the investigations of sources and influences are a type of historical research according to Hilwe. So historical research is fundamentally relying on sources and the field study of their influence. It involves systematic investigations of the past using primary and secondary sources to construct a narrative or interpretations of events, ideas, or figures. So the sources provide the evidence upon which historical claims are based, and analyzing their influences help historians understand the context and impact of past. And then editing and translating historical documents. So how editing and translating historical documents come under historical research? So editing and translating historical documents are crucial forms of historical research because they make primary sources material accessible and understandable for analysis, contributing to a more complete and nuanced understanding of the past. By carefully transcribing, annotating, and interpreting these documents, historians can unlock valuable insight into past events, ideas, and social structure. So editing and translating historical documents comes under the historical research in this way. Then studying the history of ideas, it is, I don't need to say, this also at types of historical research that are classified by the Hilwe. And then compiling bibliographies. So how compiling bibliography is a type of historical research? Compiling a bibliography is a crucial part of historical research because it serves as a foundational tool for understanding the scope of available sources and demonstrating the researcher engagement with the existing scholarship on a topic. It acts as a guide to the sources base, helping historians identify relevant materials and track the development of historical understanding. So this way Hilwe classified the historical research. Okay, so now survey research. So this comes under descriptive research. So it is a type of descriptive research to study a particular situation or setting to know its whole state of the art conditions or any particular aspects to answer what, where, when, and how, who types of questions. So why conducted survey? To create authentic descriptions of existing situation, phenomena that helps carrying out situational analysis, diagnosing problem, making more informed decisions, and intelligent plans for improving the situations. For example, census of India. So analysis phenomenon that help carrying out situational analysis. It is the detailed study or examinations of something in order to understand more about. And then diagnosing problem means to exactly find out the actual cause of a problem that are going to study by the researcher or a research group. Okay, so that is the survey research. And then basic research, also known as pure, fundamental or theoretical research, is a type of scientific inquiry focused on expanding human knowledge and understanding of fundamental principle. It's less concerned with immediate practical applications and more focused on advancing scientific theories and prediction. So mainly concerned with generalizations and with the formulations of a theory, gathering knowledge for knowledge sake. The main aim is new knowledge irrespective of any use at the moment of discovery. It is directed towards finding information that has broad base of applications, thus it is the aids to the already existing organized body of scientific knowledge. It is mostly conducted in academic and related research center. So for example, 5 laws of library science by Saranganathan. These are the pure research. Okay, then research related to some natural phenomena relating to pure mathematics concerning humans behavior, carried on with a view to make generalizations about human behavior, etc. So this is about pure research. And then applied research is a research to finding a solutions for an immediate problem faced by society, institution, business organization, etc. It's a practical in nature. The aim is to discover a solutions for some pressing problem, conducted for policy formulation, administration, and understanding of a phenomena. For example, case study, clinical research, research and development, finding solutions to a concrete social or business problem, marketing or evaluation research, military government departments, etc. So these are the few example of the applied research. The next one, research. It was developed in 1930. So it's a form of interpretative research to study human actions and social practices with the participations of the research. So it's a cyclical research to solve problem and generate new knowledge simultaneously. So equation given by the Mazzola J.H. Westphalian. So action research, action plus research, knowledge generated. So this is a subtypes of action research to change so why it's a subtypes of applied research. So it's a subtypes of applied research because this focus on immediate application and aim to provide practical benefits of the client of a particular business and working institution. Okay, to sense the ways do things more effectively. It is a cyclical research to solve problem and generate new knowledge simultaneously. So why it's called cyclical research? So Stephen Kemi's MC Target 1988 action research spiral cyclical model. It is given by the Stephen Kemis and MC Target. So in this way, in this diagram, through this diagram, they discuss about the action research. Okay, how it is a cyclical in nature. So first we have to plan and then act and then observe, reflect, cycle on. If problem is not solved, again, or if required, again we have to conduct research according to the process of research. So again we have to plan and act, observe, reflect in cycle 2. Again, if the problem is not solved, if required, if study is required, again like that the study is conducted. So that is why it is called the action research is called cyclical in nature. Okay, then experimental research. So according to Campbell and Stanley, experimental research refers to the that portions of research in which variables are manipulated and their effects upon other variables are observed. So it is the rigorous method used to study cause and effect relationship. So experimental uh, research is a systematic and precise approach designed to find out if one thing causes another. It's not just about observing, it's about testing relationship. Then involves manipulations of independent variable. So variables are nothing but it is a variable, any factor, trait or conditions that can be changed, controlled or measured. Variables are the core elements of that research study to find relationship. Okay, so the researcher changes or controls one or more variables, that is called independent variable, to see what effects they have. For example, changing the amount of sunlight a plant, okay, receive. Then measure the effects on a dependent variable. So the researcher observes and records what changes as a result called dependent variable. For example, the plant's growth in response to sunlight. Okay, then controls other influencing factors to reduce bias. All other conditions like water, soil, pot are keep the same so they don't interfere with the result. This helps ensure the observed effects is truly due to the independent variable. And then conducted in control setting like labs or field experiments. These experiments are usually done in carefully managed environments to maintain control and accuracy. For example, labs you can see in this slide. And then consider the gold standard of research design. Okay, so because why it is called gold standard of research design? Because it allows clear conclusion about what causes what. Experimental research is seen as the most reliable and valuable for valid form of research. Then enable research to make strong causal inferences. Researcher can confidently say that one thing caused another, not just they happen together. Okay, so the key characteristics of the experimental research are manipulation and then controlled random assignment. So manipulation, it can be defined as the first features of experimental design. Manipulated conditions or independent variable can also be termed as the treatment or intervention. Okay, in experimental research the terms treatment and intervention refers to the specific conditions or actions that the researcher applied or introduces to the experimental group. Manipulations of an independent variable must be involve the active intervention of the researcher. For example, sunlight and plant growth. Research question like, the sunlight helps plants grow faster. Okay, the treatment intervention is exposing the plant to sunlight. So the researcher gives sunlight to one plant experimental group and keeps another plant in a dark control room. Everything else, water, soil, pot, is keep the same. Here the sunlight is the independent variable and the researcher is actively applying as a treatment to see its effect on plant growth. Okay, that is dependent. So hence both treatment and intervention refers to the independent variable that is manipulated by the researcher to study its effect on the outcome. So manipulation is a key characteristics of experimental research. And then control, it is a again control of variable other than independent variable. Dependent variable are extraneous to study. So okay, extraneous variables are variable that are not the main focus of the study. That means not the independent or dependent variable, but they could still influence the result if not controlled. So when we say a variable is extraneous to the study, it means it is outside the main cause and effect relationship being studied, but it might infer with or distort the outcome if not controlled. Okay, so they should be randomized across the participants so that groups are equal. These efforts helps in preventing outside factors to impact the outcome. So experimental setting, sampling techniques, instruction, and participant interaction all have the control process. So this is about the control, that is the key characteristics of experimental research. And then random assignment intends to produce equivalent groups. It ensures group similarity. It means each participant has an equal chance of being selected in a group, and they are independent of selections of other participants. For example, sunlight and plant growth participant in this study, each plant is participant, the subject of the experiment. Then equivalent group, suppose you have 10 identical plants, you want to test if sunlight affects plants growth, so you divide the plants into two groups, group 1 and group B. Okay, group 1, under the group 1, plants that get sunlight, that is treatment group, and in group 2, plants keep in that is control group. Okay, to make sure the groups are equivalent similar, you use random assignment. So random putting 5 plant in group 1 and 5 in group 2. Okay, so this is the random assignment. Random deciding which plant goes to which group help make the groups equivalent. It prevent bias like accidentally putting all the healthiest plants in the sunlight group. So this is about experimental research. And then quantitative and qualitative research. Quantitative research, this is a research which involves collecting data into numerical form, and we draw conclusions through statistical calculations. It is also termed as deductive research because it is used deductive reasoning method, which particularly start from the theory, then forming the hypothesis, making the observations, and finally confirming the hypothesis. Also called linear research because it typically follows linear path while include formulating hypothesis, collections of data, analyzing that data, then accepting or rejecting hypothesis. Okay, that is about the quantitative research. And qualitative research, it is a type of inductive research or spiral in nature because it's use inductive reasoning method which starts from observation, then pattern, developing the tentative hypothesis, and finally forming the hypothesis. So that is the qualitative research. Here are example: investigations in the reasons for human behavior, why people think or do certain things, or motivational types of research. So these are the qualitative example of qualitative research. And then last but not the least, conceptual and empirical research. Conceptual research involves examining and analyzing existing knowledge and information about a topic without conducting new experiments or data collection. It focuses on developing a deeper understanding of abstract ideas, concepts, and theories often used in fields like philosophy, social science, and humanities. And then empirical research, it's a research involves systematically gathering and analyzing observable data to hypothesis, answer research questions, or gains insight into phenomena. It relies on direct observation, experimentation, or other methods to collect real-world evidence, forming the foundations of scientific knowledge. Okay, so this is the types of different types of research. Okay, thank you so much. In the next video, I am going to discuss about the variables and then hypothesis. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.